Meeting come to order. Roll call shows Mr. Will Smith, Mr. Sean Gilley are both absent. Present is 3 of us. If everybody will now stand for invocation and pledge to the flag. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Yance, would you please lead us in invocation?
Heavenly Father God, we come to you in prayer tonight. Lord, thank you, God, for all the wonderful blessings you've given us. Thank you for everything you've done for us, Lord. God, we ask that you just forgive us where we fail you and fall short of your glory. Help us to do better, Lord. We ask, God, that we have a good meeting here tonight, that we do the best things for our students and our staff. Keep everybody safe here tonight as they travel home, and be with us all. Which in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And this is the regular scheduled board meeting for the Letcher County Board of Education, May 19th, here in the Lyndall Smith Conference Room. The first thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from the regular meeting in April. I make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
Motion in the second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is student, school, and staff recognition, the Alternative Education Center.
We have Miss Julie Ambergy, our head teacher. The first one to be up in the night here. I typed it this time. I didn't write it on the chalk box lid. So I'm Julie Ambergy. Those of you who don't know me, I'm actually the head teacher at our Alternative Education Center. This is my second year, and so this year, at the beginning of the year, we had me and secretary, and so we had staff turnover this past year, and so it took us a while to get those positions filled, but I prayed every day, and it was amazing. Beginning right, it wouldn't probably, was it 2 or 3 days right before school started. I finally just came to peace with it, and I was like, Lord, just, you know, you're going to put the person in here that I know that's just going to be the right ones. And so it just so happened we ended up with Ray Dix and Johnette Collins' son from, she's the principal of the high school, and Kenny Roar. I stole him from KRCC. He just so happened to be sitting in the lobby of the vocational school, had no clue why he was even over there. He was just sitting there, and I come through and sitting there talking to him, and I was like, you wouldn't want a job, would you? So anyway, him and Manus Blair, they're with us this year, and so then Jim Bob McCauley came on board as our homebound instructor halfway through the year. So we have phenomenal staff at AE, and I couldn't ask for any better guys to be there for our kids. I know, you know, AE's got a little bit of a negative connotation as far as when our kids and stuff come, because, you know, most of our kids are there for discipline. But out of our facility, we've actually this year, and we'll go with the grades first. We had 6 credit retrievals that we actually have graduated 6 students this year. So last year we had 4. This year we had 2 more than that. So we've actually in the process, we've got 1 more right now. So we brought in 4 5th-year seniors, and actually was able to get their credits that they needed so that they could graduate and get their diploma. Then we had 2 more just actual seniors that we worked on, and so we've got 1 that'll be graduating at the end of this next week. So we've had 4 kids that we've done like a virtual academy with for just various reasons. So we was able to meet the needs of all of our kids. And then also, we've had 49 students that's been there for discipline. 7 of them are repeaters. So, and we have 11 currently right now. But that's the 7, you know, that I counted them twice. So, but we are doing a wide range of services at AE. And, you know, me and Ms. Johnson talked about that throughout the year of just trying to work towards taking that, you know, the negative stigma away from our alternative education. Just because, you know, we're actually servicing all of the kids' needs, and it could be different, could be discipline, but just like, you know, we're doing credit retrieval, all the needs that we're meeting, just different avenues that we can meet, and it's possible through us. So, you know, our kids that are with us, I'm also the trauma informed care trainer in the district, and a couple other ladies. And, you know, so it would be remiss if I didn't approach those kids that we get throughout the year for discipline, that, you know, with that trauma-informed care approach. And my co-workers sees that too, and they're really good at that. You know, we meet their needs. We see who, you know, when they come in, you know, they don't just go over to the side, and they get their time done. We talk to them, we interact with them, all day long. I know they probably get tired of it. You know, a lot of them thinks that they just can come and sleep, get their day over with, and then they go back, but that's not how it happens with us. They come and, you know, we interact with them, we see how they operate, we find out what their likes are, their dislikes, you know, and all that stuff. We've had a couple of, not only just the credit retrievals, but we've had several just good reports from some kids. We had one girl come it was probably a couple of months in, and she absolutely wouldn't speak. She wouldn't say nothing. She was so mad, she could have cared less about anything. She's failing every single one of her classes. And so, you know, it was like, well, sometimes you have to let them, you got to let them be in their moment for a little bit. But none of us quit. Every day, all day long, we talked to her, we asked her how she's doing, what do you need, all this. You know, and finally, by the time she left, she had a smile on her face. There's not a time, there was like 2 or 3 days later, I saw her walking down the hallway at the high school, and she was waving, and I actually turned around and looked to see who was behind me because I figured she was waving at one of her friends, but she was waving at me, and she was smiling. And she came running up to me, and she's like, I'm working on this, this, and this. Her attendance improved, and she's actually passing all 7 of her classes. So when at the beginning she was a freshman, when we thought that she was going to have to go through summer school, and or she was going to be a freshman again next year, and so that's one of our little success stories. So we've got a kiddo right now, little feather. He's been a handful, to say the least. But just in having him back, just meeting his current needs and just paying attention to who he is and what he needs, we're actually seeing that he's got sensory issues. And his outbursts and stuff and it was just stopping and just watching how he interacts and the way he needs to learn. So let's call that a success. But anyway, so that's the report from AE. Has anybody got any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Oh, I forgot about our common rooms.
Oh,
Yes, sorry, forgot all about that one. So I'm actually, Ms. Johnson contacted me and asked me if I would help all the schools in the district get common rooms put in their facilities. And I was eager to take that upon, that task on. It was a big undertaking. The snow and weather and all that stuff put a damper on it, but all of our schools now, except for a couple, have, and they chose that they didn't want it, but have common rooms. So all of our kids that has, you know, whenever they're having a bad day or having, you know, emotional problem, you know, any kind of, they can go to that area, and we have carts where they can draw, they can, you know, there's sensory toys and stuff like that. So, and everybody seems to really love it. So, and they look really cool. So if you're out in the schools, check those out. Okay? Thank you. Sorry.
Next item we have is public participation of guests. Zach, do you?
How are y'all tonight?
Tired.
I understand that. We'll start with the AE building. The lead abatement on the ceiling is roughly 50%. They're getting it knocked out, and the painting company's coming in right behind them with the spraying the decks. That way they don't get any rust on ceiling decks. General trades is continuing on. They're working on the drywall and wall prep for all the new paints. New sectional garage doors are going up. Mechanical, they're moving along as well. They have all the new mini split systems installed. They've got electric wall heaters left to do and the new water fountain sinks. We did receive the new electrical drawings from the engineers. Those will be going out to bid this week. There'll be a 21-day bid cycle, and then we'll jump back on that. Moving over to the football field, we had the architects and engineers on site today. They done their punch list. Everything went well. We received all of our utility inspections. Everything's got a green sticker. We have our HBC inspection scheduled for Wednesday of this week. I have no unforeseen issues that would come up, and we should get our final on that Wednesday. We've got the new epoxy floors. That was a late change in it. Those are scheduled to be done May 30th. They'll be there that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Have it done in those 3 days. Also, all the exterior work's been done, all the asphalt, the grading, the grass seed, sod, all that's been completed as well.
It looks great. We're excited.
I'm glad you all like it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody else with public participation of guests? And I will ask that we keep it to, I think it was 3 minutes before.
5.
Yeah, it was fun.
Was it 5?
It was 5. I'm here to make up for what I failed to do in the last meeting. The last time we had a short amount of time to come up with our reasonings, our arguments, whatever it may be. My name's Troy Daniels. I'm located on Oak 119, Yellow, Kentucky. I just want to make the board reconsider what they voted on now. I want you to, Nish, you spoke about this before. You talked about wanting all students in Letcher County to receive the same education, the same opportunities, correct? That's equality. And the Kentucky Department of Education doesn't recognize equality. They recognize equity, community equity. And Early Bogs is all we have, isn't it? We talked about test scores also. And I've had time to look at the test scores over the last few years. Early Bogs test scores came way low. And it's more of a testament to how important that still is. These kids don't have the same opportunity at home. It is a very poverty-stricken area, and that school being gone for those few years, well, over the years of the flood, the time they lost there, the time they lost for COVID, they lost a lot. And moving their school, their home school, across this mountain, it's going to take so much more. They are not going to have the opportunity to play sports. These after-school extracurriculars will not happen. How often do you have ABE involved with anything that you have over here? I mean, really, participation-wise, how many people from across that mountain come over here? Sports-wise, if you had to give it a percentage, it would be very few. And it's not because they don't want to. These kids want to. I get to see them play Pee-wee. We had so many kids involved in it this year. And that brings me to something else. So I decided, I assume the board's main reason is enrollment. You know, I was at a Pee-wee game with Harley Boggs the other day. I noticed a lot of young kids, not school age kids. So I decided to pull census reports for Partridge and Eopa. And it listed kids of ages 0 to 5, non-school age, 117 kids. Had a higher percentage than anywhere in Letcher County as far as young children. These are kids the board looks to lose in the Letcher County school system. And I already declined an enrollment. And you look to lose more than the kids that are in that school right now. You look to lose the last 4 years of graduating classes. Some will stay, I'm sure. I'm sure you'll keep some seniors. They'll want to finish their school system. But as a parent, if I had a child in LCC right now, and they were in one in Harley Boggs, one of them, they would be going to the same district, regardless. I know y'all can't blame it on finance. I know we can't blame it on money. But the enrollment has the opportunity to be the highest it's been over the next 5 years. 117 kids, not counting the kids we have out of district, with our kindergarten, first grade, and third grade, make up the middle school, has an opportunity to pass 200 in enrollment. I feel like there's more the board can do. I feel like there's more we can do for our community. There's more reaching out we can do. There's more enrollment opportunities. Speaking of enrollment opportunities, I noticed that everywhere else in your district had somewhere to sign up early. We had local churches, church groups. I have a list of them. I'm sure you already know it. There's 3 places, but across that mountain, nowhere to sign up early. Nowhere signed up. There was no early enrollment that I know of. There was a link for pre-enrollment shared by Letcher County Public Schools, and that was all I seen. I feel like we haven't been given the opportunity to succeed. The bus wreck on 9/32 last year, 2024, barely a year ago, 24 students were traumatized. I know it was downplayed a lot, and it was nothing but a miracle, nothing short of a miracle that every one of the children walked away from there. Denise, you were in the emergency room that night, weren't you?
I was.
You got to see some of them children, to see their faces, their reactions, their emotional distress placed on them. And we're looking to extend the bus ride, more roads, smaller roads. These children deserve more than a year to cope with trauma. Board ran on Robert's rule, correct?
Yes.
Board has the power to rescind any motion you have made. They have the option to change their decision today, correct?
Yes.
I ask this board to really consider these students, their futures, other students that would potentially be Letcher County students, their future, and their safety. Ask that you make a motion to rescind. Given that it was not scheduled, it would require 2/3 majority, which is what we have. If you just add one more vote of what we already had.
Do what now?
It requires a 2/3 majority without any schedule to pass.
Actually, for anything to pass the board with only 3 members, it requires 100%.
On Robert's rule.
According to state law, if you've got just a basic quorum of the board, the entire quorum has to agree. That way, if you've got 2 members that are not here like we have, something can't pass 2 to 1.
Appreciate your time.
Is there anybody else? Nobody else for public participation? Okay, and we'll move right along in the agenda. Next item is reports. Superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Robert. I just wanted to update the board on the COVID funds, the ARP ESSER funds that were taken back by the federal government that we were using to buy buses. We did the reapplication that I mentioned at the last meeting, but we still don't have any information. They did have a meeting with Hal Rogers last week, and he was going back to Washington this week, and we found out that the states who filed suit did win the lawsuit, so they think it is favorable and that we should hear something hopefully by the end of this week about whether or not we'll get those funds back. So as soon as I get that information, I'll share that with you. So we're still waiting to see that. That's all I have.
Next thing we have is school-based decision-making council minutes. Is everything in order there, Mr. Hall? Next item we have is monthly curriculum and instruction report.
Hey everyone, today we'll kind of go through what we're doing to close out the year. So that's what we've been busy doing the past month or so, is thinking about ways to close out the year, to reflect on what's happened throughout the year, and figure out ways that we can go into the next year and make it better. We will have summer camp, summer enrichment camp on June 2nd through the 13th at West Whitesburg. And that's for any students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade. We'll also have Kinderboost Camp, and that's sponsored by Save the Children, and those are for incoming kindergarten students who are getting ready to enroll in kindergarten, to help them with that transition and just to get ready and learn the rules, and give parents some supplies that they can use to work with students. We in the instructional department have been prioritizing and planning. We've been looking at what we're going to be looking at toward in the next year as far as our professional development and what our focus is going to be. So we're looking at focusing on vibrant learning and deeper learning, which we've been doing for the past couple of years. We're also looking at our portrait of a learner, which was developed by our community and our students. So we'll be moving forward with that, and we're also going to be focusing on K-5 math. We have a principal workshop coming up this summer and some summer curriculum work for our teacher leaders to come in and do. We also are looking at a new science resource for K through 8, and that is Open Sci-Ed. I'm really excited about that. Students are given real world situations, and then they're given the opportunity to really be curious about things and ask questions and do things through inquiry. So I think that's going to be really good for our students. Also, later in your agenda, you'll see the CEP, the Certified Evaluation Plan. So we did have our 50-50 committee meet and look at that and make updates, and then they have passed some new laws about the CEP. So I will be coming back to you guys next month with some updates, and we'll have to further revise that. But that's all I have from curriculum and instruction, unless you guys have questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have is monthly maintenance transportation report.
If y'all look in your board package, you can look at the maintenance and transportation report. On the maintenance side, we're getting everything ready for the end of the year, our cleaning supplies and things. We're about 3 weeks away from having the roof completed on the AE building that Zach was talking about earlier, weather depending, so they've moved along fairly quickly on it. On our transportation, we're continuing to get our buses ready to put on the road. We've got trips, lots of end of school year trips that our kids are getting to go to the different places for the end of the year, reward trips and things like that, so we're busy scheduling trips for those on there. Other than that, it's pretty much their normal end of the year type of things going on. Do you see anything in there you have any questions about? Thank you.
Thank you. Next item we have is monthly student attendance and enrollment report.
Hello, you all. Today will be short and sweet because it is the end of the school year, so we're kind of wrapping up everything. You can see the enrollment there in your board packet. The average attendance for this month was 88.34%. Overall, this entire school year, our attendance has been higher than last year, so we are trending in a positive direction. Just not up to our 92% that we want yet, but we're getting there slowly but surely. We'll be working this summer on some more, putting in some more transition work to make some interventions for attendance next year with our attendance committee. Also, Neon had the highest attendance this month with 92.14%. That's all I have. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next item we have is report from student representative to the board. Or should I say representatives?
Thank you, and Kobe's just gonna listen.
Okay.
Hey guys, I know it's been a while, but LCC's been keeping really busy lately. I know I can speak for pretty much the entire senior class when I say I'm ready to graduate, but it's been nice soaking up these last couple moments. Yesterday we had our senior baccalaureate service, and we had a lot of really great speakers there. It was really good. Then a little bit after that we had our senior sunset, where everyone just got to hang out and have some fun and watch the sunset together. Our sports are slowly winding down, but our baseball and softball teams are starting their district tournaments tonight and tomorrow. Our band had their spring concert last week, and I think the choir is next week. I'm not really sure on the date. We have a lot more events coming up for our school and our seniors in these last few upcoming days, and we just hope to end everything on a really good note. I just wanted to thank everybody for having me here this year. It's been a pleasure and a joy getting to come every month, and I just want to take a moment to introduce who's going to be taking over for me. So this is Mr. Colby Ambergy. He's a junior at LCC, and he's a really good friend of mine, and I know he's going to do great. Just thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of the year.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're very proud of you. Kobe, would you like to add anything? On the spot. Thank you.
The next item we have is report from LCTO, LCESP.
Ms. Tabitha Mead.
Hello, my name is Tabitha Mead. I am the Vice President for the Letcher County Teachers Organization, and I'm also a special education teacher here in Letcher County. First off, I want to thank Ms. Shantz and all the board members for allowing us the opportunity and for letting us to be involved in the process throughout the years. We are currently, and I think Friday was our last day that we collected scholarships for our LCTO scholarship. So we will begin that process very soon. But the biggest thing is we know that we have the current situation with the buses and the money with that, and we hope it gets resolved very quickly. But once it is resolved, we would like for the board to consider at least a 5% raise for the Letcher County employees. And we hope that you take this into consideration for the 2025-2026 budget, please. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Moving right along, we've got old business, and under that is the second reading. Ms. Shantz, would you like it?
We had the first reading at last month, and Brian may need to jump in here if I miss it, but we want to amend the policy where students are allowed to travel out of state to Dickinson and Lee County, Virginia without board approval. We have already in policy that they can go to WISE, but since the schools in Virginia have centralized and consolidated, let's move things around a bit, and we go to Dickinson and Lee County pretty often, and it would make that regular approval through our transportation department.
Also, I think we added
Buchanan, Grundy? I didn't know we went to Grundy much. How about Scott County? You're talking about Rye Cove, Twin Springs, Gate City?
That's That's totally up to you all.
How often do they go to those?
We don't go to those very often. We're more or less Wise, Dickinson, because when you took Clintwood and all, when they came on to Ridgeview, that took care of that. We wanted to just add those because a lot of times, especially with baseball, softball season, when you have so many rainouts, and they'll be like, we canceled this game. Wait, I picked up a game for tomorrow, and it's in Ridgeview, and then they've got to call you out to get more approval. It's a little bit daunting task to try to get that done. That's why we've done that. We can put the counties that you all want to do.
I didn't know about the Scott County, but I don't think we go to Buchanan County enough, considering, you're looking at Grundy. That's the only high school in Buchanan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you've got, no, that's in Scott. You've got, there's a private school over there,
Yeah. Mountain Mission.
Mountain Mission, but do we go there?
Yeah. We mentioned it.
What county is that?
Buchanan.
Buchanan.
So we got Wise, Dickinson, Buchanan,
And Lee.
and Lee. Without,
I would venture to say go ahead and put Scott in that too. I mean, I know the basketball teams, I've seen where they've played. Is it Twin Springs, Nicholsville?
They'll cover all the way down to Rocco.
Yeah,
And the boys and girls club.
Yeah.
Both play there.
yeah.
So that would be fine.
So, do we need to vote on that now?
We do, we need a motion and vote.
I'll make a motion that we approve the policy change as outlined.
I'll second.
We've got a motion in the second to approve the policy changed as outlined to add Dickinson County, Lee County, Buchanan County, and Scott County, Scott County, Virginia, they do not have to have board approval before taking those trips. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is new business. We have consent items. Ms. Yance.
Thank you. Several of tonight's consent items are approval for next school year, so we're getting things in line and planning ahead, but I'll quickly go through the list. First is the quote for workers' comp insurance. Second is quote for photography from 2 of our bidders. Third is the MOU for the Jobs for American Graduates program at Letcher County Central. 4 is approval to hire emergency personnel and substitutes for the 25-26 school year. 5 is the certified evaluation plan, which we'll be updating as Amber mentioned. 6 is the job descriptions for summer camp. 7 is cyber clear quote, that's an insurance quote for digital media. 8 is the KRCC contract, that's for those counselors that service our kids for the next school year. And the same for 9, which is Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. 10 is the MOU with KVIC for one of our teachers who serves the KVIC region. 11 is some schools have asked for 20 extra service days for their school secretaries to come from their funding. 12 is bid recommendations for transportation, custodial supplies, and bus garage. 13 is the bus order. We need to order 1 handicap bus for next year. 14 is the surplus items, and that's the buses that we've just replaced. There's a list of those buses. 15 is out-of-state trips. 16 is the Kinder Boost agreement with Save the Children. That's what Amber also discussed. We had to add on a couple. 17 is the agreement with Skyview Park to use their facilities for Fleming Middle School, and that agreement. And 8 is we have an MOA with the Commonwealth of Kentucky where 2 of our classroom teachers are going to be serving the state pass literacy coaches.
You've heard the reading of the consent items. I'll make a motion that we approve those consent items.
I second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Next item we have is business and financial. Approval of financial report, approval of payment of claims, transfers, and salaries.
Good evening. First thing I want to touch on here, we'll get our, in your packet there for your fund accounts, and we'll go through those really quick. Fund 1 General Fund, $16,617,005.51. Special Revenue, $6,647,712.60. Your Fund 21 District Activity Funds, $29,763.76. Fund 310 Capital Outlay, $482,717.45. Your Building Fund, Fund 320, that's $1,277,062.89. Fund 360, that's your Construction Fund, $1,383,517.71. Debt Service, Fund 400, $121,690.46. Cash and Physical Agents, $34,150.08. And your Food Service, $247,791.90. For a total cash and investment of $13,302,606.24. Had to move some things around in that fund. Your Construction Fund, if you notice, has came out a little bit there. It's better because we moved funds from Fund 1 to pay for the flood projects. And if you look at your Special Revenue, your Fund 2, it's in the hole, and that's because we took the money out of that to put into Fund 1, those strained physical liquidity funds, the EK Safe. It's a lot of fun moving, I know. But we're trying to move everything around to cover all the expenses. The next page in your packet are your Fund 1 salaries for the month of April. Next, we used to call it Fund 1 everything, but that's Fund 1, all of your expenses. They're listed in there. And finally, your Fund 51, your food service salaries. They're listed as well.
I make a motion, we pay our bills.
I second.
Got a motion and the second to pay the bills. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Next item we have is the revised extra service and extra duty salary schedule for 2025-26. Mr. Younts?
We're just looking at the, so what's the commission office? That's the stipend? Is that what we want to talk about on that? Or the
This is just the regular, with the step raises in it, right?
the tentative budget?
No, the extra service and the extra duty. Oh, yeah, that is extra service, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, one of the things we talked about, we wanted to, mention was our robotics coaching pay. I think that was one thing we wanted to put in there to revise that, looking at, that was something that was covered through PRI, I think, this previous year, and we wanted to work that in. We've had robotics teams at all of our schools. It's been a very successful venture. I think the kids have loved it, and the teachers have loved it. They've been able to compete, and it's been a good thing. I met with Miss Rebecca Potter. She talked to me about the stipend and looking at it. They're required by, I guess, their guidelines. They have to have a head coach and an assistant coach per school for that. And we looked at sister schools, those that have the elementary in the middle. So we allotted $2,000. $750 per head coach, and then $250 for assistants. And so, for example, Fleming Neon would have a head coach and an assistant, which is $1,000, and then Martha Jane would have a head coach and an assistant, and that would be their $2,000 allotment. We thought that was pretty fair. That's what they're making right now. But they didn't have the assistant coach in this previous year. So that's what the extra service we wanted to add in there, your robotics pay. And want to get that on there to have it approved.
And that's equivalent with like your basketball coach or whatever.
Yeah, they make $2,000.
Yeah.
So
At
it's,
that
that's
level.
what I'm saying, it's all equivalent?
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to make it work that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because-
academics, everything.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the academics, the robotics, all of that is as important to one as basketball
Sure.
may be as important to the other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve that. Got a motion in the second to approve the revised extra service, extra duty salary schedule. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it and motion passes. Next item on the agenda is approval of the tentative budget.
I'll jump in here in a little while. We'll go back real quick and talk about the budget process. I'll try to go through it quick. Budget process is divided into 3 different cycles. Your budget begins in January with what's called the draft budget. And basically, it's pretty much a rollover of the previous year budget. We look at step raises for all of our employees, which is, for experience. And we usually get a 1% on that. We also look at your utilities, electric, water, whatever. And we budget that in there and look at the draft budget. The board doesn't have to approve the draft budget, you just review it. The tentative budget comes up in May. That's what you're looking at today. We have a budget meeting during the month of May. We get our tentative forecast from SEEK. What we're going to have for that, we had our budget committee meeting last week. It was a good meeting. We did it via Zoom, or I guess Google Meets. It was very good. We had good participation. Went well. Then we'll come back again when everything is final with enrollment, SEEK final, and everything like that in September, and that's your working budget. And you guys approve that as well. And so then we start back over in January with the draft budget again. So you're kind of working in 3 budgets pretty much at one time. I do want to just hit, you guys have your tentative budget in there. I want to hit a few highlights and some things that we want to talk about with your budget. And by no means, a lot of this stuff's going to sound like doom and gloom. Some of it is kind of doom and gloom, but I just want to be honest with you. I want to tell the truth and make sure we look at that. Your SEEK forecast was pretty close from what we're having this year, what we were allotted. It was very close. But they've not factored in your ADA for this fiscal year yet. This is just on what they project based on the previous. So if it's better, we could get a little bit more seat. If it's less, we could lose seat. So that's just a forecast looking on trend data. It's what they look. So it's pretty close. Now, one big thing that was down your local tax dollars, we get about $17 million from state for seat funding. Our local funding in fiscal year 24 for tax dollars was $4.3 million. Which was the most it's been in a long time. This year here, fiscal year 25, it's down to about 2.4.
Is a lot of that a result of after the flood and FEMA buying so much property?
I think that's probably got something. But see, I've always budgeted about $2.5 million. That's where it's on. We're actually where I've been budgeted. But fiscal year 24, we saw a big spike, and it was like $4.3 million. So I don't know if it has to be related to the flood and the buyouts and appraisal values. I'm not sure how it all calculates in there, but I think it was related to that. I do.
I know that Terry Adams said that there would be no fund generated from any buyout because the government's giving it back to the county and they can't do anything with it.
Well,
They're not making any money off of any of it.
Yeah, they offered to give us some of that property, but with the stipulations that went with it, it would do us no good.
You can't do anything.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
There's some things like, for example, you can put gravel on it to make a parking lot. You can make a canopy structure. You can't pour concrete.
No.
And you can't put a fence.
Can't put a fence. Well, the fence has to allow water to flow through it. You can't use a chain link fence because that'll catch debris. There's lots of things like, we've talked about a couple of them, maybe getting if they wanted to donate it to us to use for, parking, but I don't know. That's up to the county and they'll have to decide that. But that is something that came up. But that has to affect the local tax because what else would make it jump from 2.5 to 4.3 and then drop back down? So, but that's something to look at. We've all heard a lot of people talking about the buses and the $3 million. So hopefully, Ms. Johnson, we can find out about that by Friday. But we're going to have to look at that in the budget as well, having that money just in case that they don't approve that. We got to pay for them. And Brian, I'm right. We've got 2 more buses coming in, and then we've got 30 days from that point to pay.
Correct. After the last bus is delivered, you have 30 days to pay for all of them. We've got all of them but 2.
Clock's ticking. That's how I feel too.
They're there.
Yeah. Make some good brownies, I guess.
Hold on, getting them. They're there waiting on us.
Yeah. So that makes me nervous. It does. Because that's an expense that we would not have incurred if we hadn't been told we were going to have it,
Yeah.
Also looking at the FEMA appeal process with the football field renovations, we received information that we could go ahead and move on with that. And we started the project with all the flood mitigation strategies and everything. That's why the buildings were built up higher and everything. And then they said that we had to have more substantial evidence in order to get reimbursed for that. So we've started an appeal process. We have an attorney out of Louisville that's representing us to go against FEMA. So they feel pretty confident. They just was awarded one the other day in Perry County. A very similar situation happened. So they feel confident, but it takes a year. As you know, the wheels of government move pretty slow, so it takes a year. So that's what we're looking at on that. So those are some things I want to talk about, some of the doom and gloom, get that out of the way first. We talked in our budget meeting, one of the things that we talked about other than the raise, looking at a raise for employees, which, I've said from the beginning, I want to make sure that, if we can do that, it benefits all of us. I mean, it benefits me as well. So, we want to do that, but we've got to be, fiscally conservative with our money and make sure to make good decisions. But one thing that they talked about in there was possibly doing a raise for our instructional assistant twos for their stipends that they do to get the extra, they get the extra $1,000, I think, per year. So $500 per semester, and they have to do a lot of things for our students, with cleaning children, work with special needs students, and they have to provide documentation that they do these additional duties to receive that $1,000. And one of the things that the budget committee mentioned was about maybe possibly giving them some extra funding, maybe an extra $500 per year, something like that. So that's something that we would like to talk to the board about considering for those instructional assistant twos that complete that training and provide documentation that they are doing those things. Ms. Yonts, you can elaborate a little bit on that if you want to.
Well, we have such a difficult time keeping the instructional twos that serve our most severe students that we want to incentivize that and give people a reason to stay in with those units and with those students, because it is a different kind of work. And so we ask the board to consider that, and that gives them a little bump and gives more people a reason to want to stay in the unit.
And that's something we talked about in our budget meeting other than the raises. And so I wanted to mention that. I feel like I can come back to you in June and make a better record. Hopefully we'll know something about our buses to see at what percentage we can look at for a raise. If we are able to get those buses covered, that would make me feel a whole lot better. So, I agree with what I mentioned earlier about us coming back, and we want to do that for people. We want to. So now I'm going to ask Chairman Kaiser about I guess we'll need a motion to approve the tentative budget. And if you guys have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. I mean, if I can't give an answer, I'll find it. So.
Does anybody have any questions?
What is the tentative date for the last 2 buses to be delivered? Do we have one?
Brian, what's the tentative date?
They're kind of there.
They're helping them.
I'm not in no hurry to pick them up.
Yeah.
We're in no hurry.
Yeah, they've been really great. They've been great to work with.
Well, that's
They've
good.
kind of released
So
them.
they're not pushing us?
They're not pushing us yet, but
get those buses.
yeah.
Okay.
It took them a long time to get them built, so they're kind of being patient with that.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
Yeah.
Wish they'd gotten built
Yes.
faster than
Yes, exactly.
Is there any other questions about the budget? I make a motion that we approve the tentative budget.
I say.
Motion and a second to approve the tentative budget. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Next item we have is personnel.
You can see my report on personnel. You'll have a few retirements and transfers. And it's pretty simple this month. It'll start getting busier in June and July as we get ready for next year. And then below that, we do have and need approval for an employee's medical leave. have the attached statement, and not statement, requires a motion vote.
I make a motion, we approve employee medical leave.
I second.
Have a motion and the second to approve employee medical leave. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes. Next item we have is other, executive session. I need a motion that we enter executive session at 7:20 under KRS 61.810, Connor DeRose, claim number AB 220-355440.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second. We've got a motion and the second to enter executive session. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes.